everyone. Welcome to the
Hi.
Jess and John pod. I'm Jess.
And I'm John. Hell of an intro there by the house band.
Yes, playing us in, and we have a special episode today. There's like a revolution or something. By now, you all have maybe heard of a little man named Brian Thompson, who happened to be the UnitedHealthcare CEO. He was 50 years old. He was allegedly shot by 26-year-old Luigi Mangione. He's been charged with murder, but the official motive it's not clear. We don't know. But we do have a manifesto or something? I don't know. He was caught with this anti-capitalist writing. His Goodreads account has some of that as well. We have a lot of developments to go over with on that front. But, as of recording this on Tuesday evening, according to Axios, Mangione's lawyer says that he will plead not guilty to the Pennsylvania charges and suggested he would do the same with the New York courts.
All right. Yeah, here we are. And man, it has been a wild couple of days on the internet, has it not?
It's been the best. It's
Yeah.
been so fun, John.
Yeah. I
Can I
actually
say
lost.
that?
Please. Yes, you can. I think I think it's all okay for us to, take this in however we take this in. I personally have been feeling a little bit insane. Just kind of looking out at all of our problems and seeing the complete lack of doing anything about them. And I'll just be honest, this feels like the first time those two things came into alignment that made sense with what is before my eyeballs, you know?
Oh, John's mic. John's mic went sicko mode. We don't know why it does that, but if anyone does, let us know.
It's actually my insurer, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. But if you do know anything about mics and would like to not have that happen, please suggest this in the comments. This is how you know we're not billionaire media.
Yeah, I think there's something bittersweet about all of these people that have been defending Israel on my timeline for months, outlining why it's okay for Israel to be killing this many civilians, now suddenly outraged. And it's the same people that are making these excuses. They are so upset at this 26-year-old boy.
There does seem to be a little bit of selective empathy, doesn't there? We're in a world surrounded by violence, and it seems that a lot of picking and choosing happens when the whole country has to kind of sort this into buckets, and a lot of people tasked with doing that seem to be struggling.
My headphones just started playing Miranda Lambert on full blast because I accidentally just touched it. That was terrifying. What is the last bit of what you just said, John?
It's I cut my bangs with them rusty kitchen scissors.
The Queen Miranda Lambert.
You thought that you pressed Miranda Lambert. It was actually me singing pitch perfect and at full volume.
I love her. She was at the top of my Spotify Wrapped and Derek's because I use his Alexa device. And so does Jeff Bezos, listens in on the household. Early
like
listener of the Jess and John pod, Jeff Bezos. Hello,
Yeah, one
Jeff.
of our first. Thanks, Jeff. We exist under your almighty presence. Also, Miranda Lambert is an appropriate thing to have blasting out of your headphones here accidentally, because I feel like a lot of hers are kind of about, righteous murder for some grave affront.
Yeah, she's got a different kind of country music. All right, our producer Gabby is getting us back on track. We're watching this video of Luigi Mangione. I want you to just take this in for yourself, no context. Just watch what happens here.
And completely out of touch and insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
So that's Luigi Mangione, obviously, with the police officers. Also, I don't know if I should be saying Mangione. I should have asked my mom for proper pronunciation before recording this podcast. Nevertheless, you see him shouting there to a group of journalists. That's out of touch and an insult to the American people. They're wrestling to get him into the building. Not really. But he seemed upset at something a journalist said. We don't know what.
Yeah, and when I saw that, of course, we're all taking this in at our own speeds, but when I saw that video, this is really just well, it feels like the first, or at least the most significant time in recent memory. I'm sure if we have our boomer or silent generation listeners tuning in, they'll have other examples. But here we have a high profile case in America of, a politically motivated um, killing of a CEO, right? And it's the first time we're all grappling with this having, motivations and a political message that we are not used to sorting through. And bang, right there it is in our face. And I think the responses have been really interesting.
Yeah, very interesting from all sides of the political spectrum. I think that's why this became a moment where so many people were suddenly on Twitter like, yeah, these CEOs are responsible for deaths, right? Basically saying like if you're a healthcare CEO and you're responsible for denying claims like Brian Thompson was, you're not holding the gun, but you're doing some kind of killing. And people have the moral wherewithal to not separate those things because he wears a nice suit and he goes to work in Midtown Manhattan. But now we have the alleged manifesto. We don't really know if it's his or not, but we showed you him saying that's out of touch, an insult to the intelligence of the American people. So, he's scrapping with the press, which is interesting. And it seems like he's not trying to say much. Is this a guy who said what he needed to say in this YouTube video scheduled for release? The truth? Is it the manifesto? Let's read what's in here. So, this is amazing, John. He directly addresses the feds. To the feds, I'll keep this short. That is a baller move.
It really is. I mean, I never know. We are all tasked with, and it's only going to get harder in the future, discerning how much of a given event is, reality versus, being influenced in ways that we can't really know. But I choose to believe that this is simply a baller move to open your anti-cat manifesto with a love letter to the feds. Great work so far. Doing Italian Americans proud.
Right. No, I love the cops. The police, they keep the neighborhood safe. It's just, when their business cross mine's business is business. That's all it is. His lawyer's saying, I haven't seen any evidence he's the shooter, which it suggests a not guilty plea, but then this manifesto doesn't seem to match up with that strategy. To the feds, I'll keep this short because I respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This is fairly trivial. Some elementary school engineering, basic CAD, a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife or traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, you want to stop there? These parasites simply had it coming.
I would take it one more sentence and then stop there.
Okay. A reminder, the United States has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly 42nd in life expectancy. United is and then indecipherable. He does have messy handwriting. I was reading his handwritten Goodreads notes, but so that word we don't know what it was.
That's deep in the internet there, Jessica.
United is the fucking largest company in the United States by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, and Walmart. Damn. He's basically saying they're profiting off of giving us shitty healthcare. Yeah. Most people know that. That's why when this happened, we were all like, oh my God, thank you.
So relatable, right? And it really, things like this bring it into crystal clear focus, just the level of garbage that we accept in our lives as Americans as normal. Right here, this is a very extreme act, but he lays out the justification for why he did this. We have the most expensive healthcare. We get the least out of it. Millions of preventable. We die early and unnecessarily from our healthcare system because we choose to let it make money off of us. And the main way that it's making money, denying care. It's like, any labor problem. A business is the quickest way to profits for a business is to cut costs, and the biggest cost is labor. Over and over again in all these issues, we find out that we're the ones standing in the way of corporate profits, and we're always on the chopping block. And it was just so amazing to me to see how universal the reaction was to this person and what they chose to do.
Yeah. And I think the media's in a frenzy right now. Like, you can't celebrate violence. You can't make this guy a hero. That's disgusting. All violence is bad. I think people are in a kind of a desperate place because so many forms of protest haven't been working, and also it's not seen in the media as violence to be examined over a multiple day period and to throw money laying around at investigating. The fact that you have people with necessary care getting their claims denied and it not being covered and them going bankrupt or going without necessary care. That's a violent system. Just because you don't see a guy with a gun smoking does not mean that that's not violence. It's decisions made, yes, by Brian Thompson. He wasn't representative of United. We can't say it's not about Brian Thompson. Sure, it's about the bigger system, but the system is imposed on the people by human actors, and Brian was a willing one of them, someone who was willing to collect a paycheck to do this dirty work. I pulled up some numbers from 2019 to 2022. This is from a study that was commissioned by Congress, and it's about U.S. healthcare. This is a chart specific to United. From 2019 to 2022, the denial rate went from 1.4% to 12.6%. It increased about tenfold. To be fair, Brian Thompson became the CEO of UnitedHealthcare in 2021. So in his tenure, it nearly doubled. That's insane. So these are real people making decisions that cost people their lives. Just because you say it's a business doesn't make you any less of a violent gangster. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and these numbers paint a pretty clear picture of the business model for healthcare. So it's an indictment on the healthcare industry, but to me, it's an indictment on large American business, everywhere, because we know that this pressure to increase denials, to deny people the Medicare, the medical care that they need to live, this is financial in nature. These CEOs, they're ousted all the time if they don't post financial performance numbers that Wall Street likes for these publicly traded companies. There is this constant problem across all, business of making decisions only for the short term and to maximize profit ruthlessly. This shows up in American scandals all the time, from the 2008 financial crisis up to, extremely necessary things like whether or not we get the care we need to live. It's not a bug of how business is done in America. It's a feature, and it's understandably driving people insane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you know someone or you are the someone that has care you need and your insurance company denies it, and you have to get into this whole fight, on top of being sick, it's easy to be in a place where you kind of go a little crazy. You're like, why doesn't anyone care about whether a human being lives or dies? That's not worth a couple extra bucks. It's just not. And I don't know. I think that's why it's disgusting to look at the system and see that Medicare for all, if we had a single payer healthcare system, it would be much more cost efficient. We would spend less and get better care. So there's one study that was done by PLOS Medicine that compared 22 different styles of single payer healthcare systems for the United States. They also looked at individual states. But 19 of their analysis found that expenditures would fall in the first year. So imagine the disruption in the medical industry. It would be very expensive. You'd have to hire staff. People would have to get trained up from their former job in a private healthcare insurance company, add a new one. It would be a mess. Still, in the first year, 86% of these analyses, these different cases of different systems, expenditures would fall in the first year, and all of their analysis showed the potential for long-term savings. Yale's study got a little bit more specific. They said, if present trends continue, so we don't do anything, we keep our private health care, we're going to be spending $6 trillion a year by 2027. $42.9 trillion on healthcare over the next decade. Now, Yale looked at this, and they said, okay, what would this look like if everyone was covered by Medicare for all instead? Well, they said we'd have better health outcomes. People delay care and don't receive it because healthcare is expensive and they don't have it or their claims get denied. It would save 68,000 lives a year and reduce healthcare spending by around 13% or $450 billion a year.
It's one of those cases where the grass really is greener here. You know, it's change can be scary, but in reality, nobody likes paying taxes, and a tax that we don't think about is the one we pay every month to these private healthcare companies that are, above all else, have a duty to return the maximum profit margins possible to their investors. We know that most of the investors, a tiny share of everybody who owns stocks owns most of the stocks, right? So here we all are every month paying for this care that is costing us the most, returning us the least, and a huge chunk of what we're paying every month is not for medical care. It's not to make the system operate or to, meet the human needs of the healthcare system. It is to pad the pockets of executives, of industry lobbies, of their political arms that pour spending in to preserve this system and make sure we don't go to Medicare for all, a single payer system, save 68,000 lives a year, save a ton of money. Part of our premiums are going into political lobbying to keep it the way that it is. And, sometimes I feel like we really, when these moments force us to think about what we're all subjected to, it pays to think about what we could have, so that we can all take something from this and fight for something much better, because we certainly deserve it, right?
Yeah, it's just inhumane and barbaric that things work the way that they do. And I can get a little bit extreme because I've seen so many members of my family just treated horribly because they don't have health care just by the system. And so even if, you don't like that and you think killing people is bad and you don't like that people are celebrating the whole Brian Thompson situation, I think we can all agree that the healthcare system we have is terribly inefficient, and this definitely made it a part of the conversation, and it's a conversation worth having. UnitedHealthcare does not want us to have it. Ken Klippenstein has done some good reporting on top of publishing this manifesto. He got some leaked information from inside of UnitedHealthcare. He got a quote from a source within the company. You can tell they really just want us to shut up and not acknowledge it. So the bosses at UnitedHealthcare are telling the employees to not talk to people about this. They went on to say supervisors are afraid to speak up about the corruption for fear of losing our jobs. So just acknowledging there's corruption there. They continued, and this is crazy. It's like we're being forced to lionize Brian instead of analyze who he was.
Based takes. The call is coming from inside the house. Everybody, including people who get paid by this company, I think, knows how bad this is. It's wild. I drink all of this on the internet at night, and it makes me feel less insane.
Yeah. The actual memo they sent out to the employees, Ken Klippenstein got that too. And yeah, I think if I was an employee and I got sent this, I would have the same reaction. But what they said in writing to their employees was, we ask that you adhere to our corporate communication policy regarding interactions with the news media. All media inquiries should be directed to our communications department. Please refrain from making any statements or comments to the media to ensure that our communications remain consistent and respectful. Okay, If you are such an evil company that the employees cannot talk about what happens within your doors, how can you possibly put yourselves on the right side of history morally? I'll just say that. They have something to hide.
Yeah, this really feels like whoever wrote that instruction to the employees might have like a giant red button by their desk, kind of like Austin Powers style, that like if anybody kind of goes off of the company line, they just like give that button a smash and some doors open up and then you burn in hell, probably with all the other executives that deny coverage for profit.
Yeah, it's really bad. I'll share a little bit. If you follow me on social media, you've heard this before. But I think like sometimes looking at the numbers feels not personalized. So John, if you have a healthcare story or know someone with one, please share it. But I'll share this one. A year ago, literally a year ago, as on the 17th, I was hospitalized with a pulmonary embolism. It's when a blood clot passes through your heart and settles in your lung. I get good care at the Waverly Health Center. They did a very good job with me. And then they probably wouldn't have found it, but I had an all-women doctor team. And I came in with a high heart rate. I was like, I don't know, my heart's just beating fast and I feel really weird. And they tested my blood for clots. And then they said, it's really low, but just in case, we're going to take you in for a CT scan. And they found it. So lucky me. I left and got a bill for $8,000. I was like, my deductible's $2,000. This makes no sense. But because this happened in December, and then I was hospitalized again in January, it was like something happened. I thought I was internally bleeding. I was actually fine. But I had to get hospitalized again. I called the line. They said, you have to go to the ER. I said, okay. So anyway, 2 hospitalizations spanning 2 calendar years, which is important to insurance companies. They say, listen, you do have a $2,000 deductible. However, you have to step up, which means you pay $500 extra on top of my current insurance plan to receive a step-up plan, and then your deductible goes down to $2,000. Because this happened over 2 calendar years, you can only pick one. And my bills were split. It was like $4,000 in 2022 or 2023, $4,000 in 2024. So literally it would cost me $6,000 to get the $2,000 deductible, and my total bills were $8,000. I basically had no health care. It's just out of pocket at that point.
It's beyond parody. I mean, just how universal these stories like that are all across the country. And, if you're listening to this, hop in whatever comment section we got going on and share your healthcare stories. I think there's power in talking about this because it makes us feel, less alone, which was a part of this, event happening. Sometimes you can be out there and be like, am I the only one experiencing how bad this is? And then somebody murders the CEO and everyone's like, nope, it's all of us. And, even in my case, it's like, I feel very lucky. I haven't had a lot of health run-ins, but even for somebody who's relatively young, quickly becoming not that, relatively healthy, I do a couple things to, try and lower my health by a couple points, but overall pretty good. I was just shopping for health insurance coverage on the marketplace. Thanks, Obama. Before this, there wouldn't have even been a marketplace. But the fact that we had health insurance reform, and then I have this kind of experience that I'm about to share, shows you how far we have to go. Because I go onto the marketplace where the whole idea is that there's competition. You can compare these plans. You can choose the best that's for you. The only options available to me, relatively young, relatively healthy, my deductible without a tax subsidy. Thankfully, I am a journalist not making that much money, so I do get a tax subsidy. But if I did not, my premium would be between $450 and $650. My deductible, the lowest it would be, it was $3,500. The highest is $9,000. So it's like I'm paying hundreds of dollars every month just to have a plan that doesn't pay anything until I blow through $9,000. If I have this whole issue that you described, Jessica, of needing care in both December and January, they kind of slap you with that sleight of hand trick. And then it's a $65 copay. Anytime I want to access the system, I walk through the door, it costs me $65. And then you have some bureaucrats deciding what hospital you can or can't go to and what medications are covered or not. And you're all expected to just kind of wade through this for yourself. It takes time and mental energy and anguish. And that's if you're healthy and young. That's if you're healthy and young. And this entire system, another outcome of it, so many people are stuck in jobs right now that they hate. They're not pursuing other things. They're not working on themselves. They're not, creating innovations, art, music, whatever it is, because they need to have their healthcare covered by a job, right? It's just one after the other, right on down the line.
Yeah, it's so true. If we had the freedom to be self-employed, take gig jobs that are closer to what we would actually like to do, make a little less money by working on our own, people would. But I think people stick with being employed by a big company because their lives depend on it in the United States. And that's not really an exaggeration. It's not really hyperbole.
Oh.
Because people do die because not only are they not getting regular checkups and then, you don't get a regular screening, suddenly you find out you have an illness when it's too late and it can't really be treated. You delay care, whatever it is. There's all kinds of ways people die because they don't have health care. And I think that's why the reaction was the way it was. But it's sad that that's a factor of our society, that now the creativity sucked out of all of us because we live in this capitalist hellscape. And why is everyone decorating their Christmas trees brown? Have you seen this? What's happening? Why are we so sad? We won't allow ourselves the happiness of red and green and rainbow and sparkles. They're taking, John, beige balloons. They're putting them around their ornaments that are brightly colored. They're having beige Christmas.
Excuse me.
Why are we depriving joy of everything?
This is actually news to me. Is this a thing that's happening on the internet? It's beige Christmas?
It's beige Christmas and, John, beige baby toys, beige baby playrooms.
No.
They're not, well, there's some, argument that it overstimulates the babies when they're too bright, but we could do pastels. We don't have to do brown.
Oh, come on. Look at me. I turned out fine, and I looked at a ton of bright colors growing up. It's great.
But yeah, I think the outfits also lately, nothing is tailored to fit. Nothing is cool patterns or cool colors. People, I think, because we're in the mindset of every day, I go to work, I drone away, I do work for someone else. We're I might as well just wear whatever.
My life's beige. I'm going to make the Christmas tree beige.
Yeah, Christmas tree's beige, I'm beige, work's beige, plays beige. We live in a beige society.
I think, you know what? Okay, when we started going down this way, I did not know that people were decorating their trees beige. I wouldn't call that decorating, but
very upsetting.
It is very upsetting. But who has time to do that, right? We're all kind of trying to fight off an insurance company. We're going to, we're working more hours for less pay. And it's all run through by this line of, the businesses are bigger than ever in most markets and most things that you do and most aspects of your life. It's a couple of companies that dominate the whole thing, that control it, that set the rules. They're all serving this short-term financial interest. And we have to fight these things off to try and survive. And who's going to take time to make the ornaments nice? Yeah, I'll go that way.
Yeah, I think it's a mirror held back at us. We just wear a shirt and pants and our trees are beige. It's that's how we see our society and ourselves. It's sad. We're robbed of our joy. But
yes,
what did bring me and John very much joy is watching something very interesting take place in major right-wing, extreme right-wing commentators.
Let's get into this. Oh.
These are guys, I'm just going to say this because we just talked about it. So, our health is treated as expendable if you're in the working class in America. These are guys that have pushed a lot of right-wing lies that have led to a place where Roe v. Wade was overturned. I have a big, big theory that the reason the right has embraced overturning Roe is because in a world where working class lives are expendable and we have a shortage of births, if we don't have a population of working people, their system kind of collapses. And people can't really afford to have kids, and that's a big reason why they're not, which they should just pay us more and then problem solved. But these guys are like, let's take away their right to have an abortion. Now there will be more babies. Now we can continue on treating working people's lives like they're expendable because their lives will be replaced by new people. I think it's all connected.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to throw that out there.
Oh, please. I mean, look, it doesn't take much arm twisting to like really get me to go on about, I think of the George Carlin quote about how they want obedient workers, right? Obedient workers. That's basically our culture. It's keep your head down, go to work, do a good job. And, the thing is, I grew up in a rural part of the country, and these are very important values. And a lot of good people, that's some of the most important things to them, to be a good worker, to work really hard, right? And what really crawls under my skin, with any large American business executive is I think they take advantage of that cultural trait of America. They take advantage that people are so proud to be hard workers, and they build it into their business models of exploitation. We're willing to put up with a lot because putting up with a lot means that you're tough. But we don't have to put up with this much. And I think that's the dawning that's happening on all of us.
You know what means you're tough? I'm not going to say it.
We'll let the audience fill in the blank.
I'm going to say, not letting the CEOs of America push you around and tell you how to live your life. Yep, way cooler than working 80 hours and working your life away for them.
Yep, everything comes back into style again. The mullet's back, and I think labor battles, class solidarity is having a moment.
Don't take the haircut they want you to have, the basic haircut. Don't decorate your Christmas tree beige. Get a mullet and rainbow ornaments. Okay, so Matt Walsh. This is a crazy thing. He's one of the right-wing commentators we mentioned. He puts up this video, why the left is really celebrating the murder of a CEO. And I didn't listen to his reasons because they're probably dog shit. It's probably like, because they're stupid, whiny babies who can't work hard enough to make $1 billion. Something like that. They always say shit like that. But if you go to the comment section, which is really why we're talking about his video, his audience turned on him. And oh my God, it's not right or left to say that America deserves a better health system. Matt isn't out of touch. He's purposefully dividing us so his team can laugh all the way to the bank. Your entire business model is getting people to hate each other. Holy shit.
This was my favorite part about this whole story. People in the comment sections of Matt Walsh, of Ben Shapiro, of Dan Crenshaw, these are the people whose job it is to go out there and make sure that conservatives or Trump people or anybody who finds appeal in Donald Trump never joins with other people that they share class similarities with. That's their whole job. That's what they get paid to do. They get paid to divide. And right in that first comment, you can see their audience realizing that for the first time. And that is a powerful moment. I can't remember, any time where at this scale, we've had people end up on the same page like they are with this. And, honestly, we're going to see this trial unfold. There's a lot of information that's going to go from here, but the most important information to me has already happened, and that is the public reaction. The act and the death is one thing, and it seems, pretty open and shut to me. If you fuck enough people over for long enough, and you take away their recourse to do something about it, then something like this happens. It's predictable. It's to be expected. But the public reaction, like these comments that we're reading in conservative YouTube channels, is an entirely different thing. And another thing I think it's interesting is this system is so bad, that a person from an elite background, what was it called, Jessica? An ex-Ivy League student. I really like this term. I saw you
So
tweeted about
funny.
that. So funny, right? This person goes to a private high school from one of the wealthiest families in Maryland, $40,000 a year tuition at the high school. And still, that is not enough to remove you from being affected by this for-profit healthcare system and not having anything to do about it. So when it's that bad, I think that's why you're seeing these audiences just come into question with the people that they follow, whose job it is to make us think about anything other than this. It's glorious, and I've been reveling in it for days now.
Yeah, I just want to say there's no different real path in the process of going to an Ivy League school that someone like Brett Kavanaugh has. Oh, he's a nice young man. Yale educated. This headline doesn't say UPenn educated. It says ex-Ivy League student. Almost so you separate it. Oh, the Ivy League disowned him. No, he graduated with a diploma and went on to have a successful career in the field in which he studied at UPenn. He went to graduate school. He got a master's degree from UPenn. Like, to call him an ex-Ivy League student is so fucking funny because it shows how quickly the establishment will immediately disown you once you're inconvenient for the system that they uphold.
Whoa, buddy!
Bye.
You can go to Booz Allen Hamilton or Deloitte or McKinsey, but don't be murdering CEOs out here. We can't have you around at the class reunion. It's going to make for awkward conversation.
Yeah, ex-Ivy League. He's done. It's
He's out of
ridiculous. That's how they do it, though. That's how they do it. But this was a smart man. You can tell by his Goodreads reviews. He left a comment, it went kind of viral, or it's a review, rather, on Ted Kaczynski, also known as the Unabomber's book. It was kind of a manifesto, Industrial Society and Its Future. What I find very interesting is our boy Luigi did not say, like, Ted's great. Totally agree with Ted. Great stuff Ted did. Fan of his work. He said he was a violent individual, rightfully imprisoned, who maimed innocent people. While these actions tend to be characterized as those of a crazy Luddite, however, they are more accurately seen as those of an extreme political revolutionary. One take that I found interesting online, he quotes, had the balls, this is a take online I'm assuming Luigi found about Ted Kaczynski that resonated, which is why he's including it. Had the balls to recognize that peaceful protest has gotten us absolutely nowhere, and at the end of the day, he's probably right. Oil barons haven't listened to any environmentalists, but they feared him. When all other forms of communication fail, violence is necessary to survive. You may not like his methods, but to see things from his perspective, it's not terrorism, it's war and revolution. Violence against those who lead us to such destruction is justified as self-defense. So I think it's interesting that he made such a point to say the Unabomber maimed innocent people, because he mailed letters to, like, blow up government employees that were regular bureaucrats, very low level. And so Luigi taking a different approach, going directly to the CEO, it is interesting. And a lot of people say the guy went crazy, he's estranged from his family. I don't know. Seems like his actions are logically consistent with his post that is from January. So maybe he didn't talk to his family for a few months, but in January, sounds similar to the manifesto.
Yep. And, again, it's just another instance where we are now collectively taking another look at how we treat violence, because basically all of the media that we consume reinforces that there are ideas where reinforces that there is violence that is okay, and then there is violence that cannot be tolerated. It's just that the violence that cannot be tolerated usually falls into the category of disruption to the status quo that is pretty focused on maintaining stability, of maximizing profits, maintaining a stable business environment, keeping worker power at the lowest level that you possibly can to keep the quarterly profits at the highest level that they can be. And so if violence comes in and disrupts that cycle, then that is violence that's not okay. And that's what we see reflected to us and told to us by media outlets. Except now people see an act of violence that they resonate with, and they say, who are you to tell me that this is not okay when members of my family, are being denied coverage that they need to live, right? It's this collective moment of questioning what media is telling us, of questioning what violence is okay and what violence is not. I think another thing I saw that popped up close to this, a coincidence of timing, but the man who strangled a street performer on the subway was acquitted. And, at the same time that right-wing media was saying that violence against the CEO is never okay, they turn around and celebrate how a vigilante kept people safe from a street performer on the subway, right? So it's enough to make your head spin. And I think a lot of people's heads are spinning. And what's significant about it is that the people whose heads are spinning that you would expect the least are in the comment section of a lot of conservative media. It's what a moment to be alive.
Yeah. Our producer has told us that CNN reported the police are claiming to now have a notebook from Luigi Mangione. And in these notes, he allegedly wrote, "Using a bomb is bad because it could harm innocents, but, quote, what could be better than shooting the CEO at his own bean counting conference?"
Dude had his mind made up. And is making the country think about this. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think about, the conversation we're having around violence, and it's easy to not have anyone to be mad at when it's the system. It's the Federal Reserve raising interest rates that then go on to make more people unemployed because there's less new jobs, because there's less money being invested in businesses. Now that there's less jobs, there's, more competition in the labor market. Wages can stay lower. Some people are unemployed intentionally as an explicit policy and a known result of the policy. Literally a step in bringing inflation down is increasing unemployment. This is necessary. You need a job to, one, as we discussed, have healthcare, purchase food, have rent. You can't survive in America without money. So the United States government, it's Congress that really gives the Fed a lot of their directives, but it's the Federal Reserve as well, are intentionally making Americans poor, unemployed, homeless. That's violence. I'm sorry, you're taking away their means to survive. That's always going to be violent in my mind. But we're not taught to see it that way.
Yeah. And the death is as final by bullet as it is by some giant rubber stamp coming down saying, sorry, we're not going to pay for that because we need to make quarterly earnings reports. Same outcome.
Yeah. And I think what we're going to see now is Luigi Mangione getting the villain treatment from the media, which is when someone threatens the establishment. Like we said, he's not an Ivy League educated guy. He's an ex-Ivy League student. The CEO shooting suspect has a violent outburst. Really? Where the cops slam him against the wall? He's having a violent outburst because he's defending the American public to a shitty journalist saying, you're out of touch, and that insults the American people's intelligence. That's a violent outburst, and they take a screenshot of his face looking real snarled and angry. They want everyone to put these magnifying glasses over their eyes and look so closely at who he is and the trial and paint him out to be this terribly violent animal. So no one zooms out and sees the bigger picture and thinks about what this means for our society. That we can kill rich guys that keep us struggling. That people can be killed who are CEOs making decisions to deny people necessary care. Don't be critical of the healthcare system. Instead, look at this really zoomed in photo of Luigi's face and really think about how horrible it would be if this was your father and he was murdered. They're going to make this guy seem like the worst in the media, and they're going to take all of our focus specifically on him and on this trial because they are terrified if we keep thinking about the bigger picture here.
Yeah, terrified is a good word for it. And I think back to the early days when this was unfolding, there was a really significant moment for me. Like, you could see there was a first wave of the internet reaction that was suggesting that a lot of people were resonating with this. And then there was the first media coverage, and that immediately leapt to, this is never okay. Vigilante justice is not something that happens in America. And then the public swell and the real reaction took place. That post that they had on Facebook from UnitedHealthcare, where there's like 60,000 reactions and 58,000 of them are laughing emojis. The stories that came out from legacy media right after that, especially the TV shows, you could see the hosts caught between a rock and the hard place, because they saw that across the board, the public, their audience, was going one way. And if they were to follow the audience, that would put them at odds with their advertisers, many of whom are the large corporations, including health insurance companies, right, that make these television news programs happen. And there was genuine uncertainty, shock about where to go from the typical TV host. But, now they've gotten a little bit of time to get the act together. And I suspect, like you're saying, we'll try to, paint this guy out as the bad guy. But you saw it happen again when they tried to scare everybody that, oh, it's a nationwide manhunt, there's a killer on the loose. And then people were like, actually, I feel safer with this hot Italian assassin taking care of the people who are denying my claims. It's a real scramble.
Watch out for the hot Italians. Yeah, they wrote an article. This is probably the most ridiculous one. It'll get a few suburban moms, but they were like, oh, the shooter who was arrested and charged with the murder, extremely ironic, suspect in UnitedHealthcare CEO case, or CEO slaying, played video game killer, friend recalls. What was the game he was playing? It was a little game called Among Us. And if you're not familiar with that, it's a bunch of little cartoon guys, and someone's the secret murderer. If you've ever been to a murder mystery party, you've done the equivalent of what Luigi Mangione is apparently, I don't know, questionable for doing.
I mean, he's the he's the alleged assassin, but anybody who played Clue, you're in there too.
You're honestly a murderer. Bad guy. You think we should kill people? This is America, murder's bad.
Yeah, it's oh man, I was gonna try to go for a Clue analogy here, but it's been too long since I played, so we'll drop that.
What murder?
What murder?
He was the best guy around.
Oh man.
Oh, I saw, I don't know if it's real, I saw a post that said over 100,000 Luigi, as in Mario and Luigi Nintendo, hats have been sold on Amazon in the past 24 hours.
Yeah, it's beautiful and terrible all at once. Like, here we have kind of the focal point for, direct action when all other routes have been denied, and the best symbol that you could get to display, relating to what that guy
Rampant
did, it has to be bought on Amazon.
At the most evil corporation where half of their employees get injured. Oh my God, yes. It's real. Yeah. Yeah, it's getting posted a lot.
Damn, $20. I got to get on Amazon, guys.
But this is the thing.
I'm kidding.
I
Don't
would
do
love
that.
it. Red MAGA hats now replaced by green hats. It's the one silver lining.
It would be so fitting. It would be so fitting. This is the politics we deserve.
Yeah. I will say the one thing I think we can all do is have a conversation with your friends and family. It doesn't really have to be about the killer. I don't think we should say, all right, guys, you want us to focus on Luigi Mangione? We will. We'll take this magnifying glass you've given us and focus only right here, unable to see everything else. I think we should say no thank you, and we should talk about healthcare and our healthcare stories with our friends and family right now, and keep our eyes on that bigger picture, and don't let them put these magnifying glasses on us.
Yeah, drink in. whatever you need to do in this scenario. For me, I like to go up, at night right before I go to bed, fire up a little spliff, crack open the internet, and drink in all of that hot Italian assassin content that I can possibly get it out of the system. And when you're talking to people about this, really take this moment seriously and never forget the time that we all got on the same page. I will never forget seeing Ben Shapiro be roasted by his own audience, because at the end of the day, we all have these things in common, and we saw what happens when we all join together. The ruling class is terrified. They have to scramble. They have to protect their CEOs. They have to get their news people in line because, God forbid people start doing this, and then we could actually change this system. We know how to do it. The political, people being upset, that's there. And then you get something like this happen, we can get together. So let's all hold on to that. And I think it's also a good time to open yourself up to new political ideas too, right? Remember this time when we almost all got together and tried to manifest, and I'm using these hands right here, manifest us a leader worthy of this united mass of Americans fed up with their health care, so we can actually do something with all of this.
Yeah, genuinely. I think we all like when a killer is anonymous, right? We like Batman when he has the mask on. We don't like knowing our hero's identity. Everyone was so happy before we knew who he was. Now we are doing the thing where we're obsessing over who he was and everything he said. But I'll share this. My mother, I come from an Italian-American family, both sides. I text in all caps, "He was Italian." She responds, question mark? Question mark? Question mark? I said, "The CEO killer was Luigi Mangione." My mom just replies, "Mob brother."
Mom ain't seen nothing. Mom ain't been to McDonald's or Altoona.
I go, "You know Mangione's?" Because at this point, I'm like, "Do?" Because her father was in the mob. And so she thinks any Italian man is just in the mob. But they're estranged. We don't talk to him now. He's in Florida.
For
I go,
podcast
"You know
purposes."
Mangione's?" Yeah. No, I really have never met it. I found him on Facebook. And I think it would be fun to, meet him. But my mom, thinks the mob is really bad. She didn't want us near him. She didn't want us to know him. She didn't she was brought up in mob culture. But anyway, we don't. She goes, "No, ... still in Italian, bro." She thinks it's a mob hit. I think that's beautiful.
Hey,
That's if he stayed in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, nobody would have told.
Oh, yeah.
Going to Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Pennsylvania's weird, man. They got toll roads that are ridiculous. You can't buy liquor anywhere that you're supposed to be able to buy liquor. And if you kill a CEO and the country rejoices in your act of revolution, the people in McDonald's and Altoona are gonna dime you out.
Can't even get a good bagel. See you next time, folks. All right, everyone, don't be afraid to like, share, and subscribe. It's very important for the algorithm, so more people like us hear these ideas, and then, maybe something magical will happen.
That's right. We're all at the mercy of the algorithm here, but hey, if you want to give it a little boost, why don't you write into us on the back of a $20 bill in the comment section of Instagram, wherever you find this podcast, with your mailbag questions. Eventually, we will do one, and we're looking forward to it, so give us something to talk about.